Yeah, Shalom, Kalalayim, Layhaw, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakah Kodash, double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well and that teach well, and salutations and blessings to you elect out there, brothers and sisters. Yeah, brother sent this article. This was dated May 27, 2023, from Global News. It says debt ceiling deal, Biden, McCarthy says agreement in principle reached. And basically what this is about is the debt ceiling, right? The trillions, the hundreds of trillions of dollars that the corporation known as the United States, right, owes. It says Republican leader in the House, or leaders in the House of Representatives and the White House have reached an agreement in principle to raise the debt ceiling just over a week before the deadline to avoid a potential default. Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy first tweeted the news Saturday night. He said the parties have come to an agreement in principle that is worthy of the American people. And talk a lot of garbage about we're going to do all right and all this shit. The point being, brothers have to keep an eye on this, right? Now, nothing's going to happen, until really the CHIP, right? And for that to happen, there needs to be a big crash, a reset. This devil Klaus Schwab, right? You have to remember the things he says. He's a top elitist as well, right? And he's quoted, right? He said, what did he say? That devil, what did he say? He said, pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario. That accent, right? Of a cyber attack, basically, right? He said of a frightening scenario. Why is it frightening? Because everything is connected, man. Everything is online right now. Your money, from the way you work, like everything is online, right? Everybody knows that. So if you have a cyber attack to the majority, I remember 4 months ago, right? You had an outage of Rogers. Rogers went out. Cell phones, telecommunication, all that, internet. People were bugging out, man. One major company, right? So what happens when everything is offline, right? But you got to keep an eye out on this stuff because look, when you go, right? This is from Council on Foreign Relations. What happens when the U.S. hits its debt ceiling? Now, first of all, let's kind of go into what is a debt ceiling. Created by Congress in 1917, the debt limit or ceiling sets the maximum amount of outstanding federal debt the U.S. government can incur. In January 2023, the total national debt and the debt ceiling both stood at 31.4 trillion, which is more than that. That's what they're reporting. All right. The U.S. government has run a deficit averaging nearly 1 trillion every year since 2001, meaning it spends that much more money than it receives in taxes and other revenues. And really, this whole dollar is a debt in itself. It's a debt note. It's an IOU. It's really garbage. And that's why you have these BRICS nations. The list keeps getting longer, man. The list keeps getting longer of all these other nations that are wanting to not use the dirty American dollar, the U.S. currency, the Federal Reserve currency, man. This debt note, this worthless piece of shit, man. Right? They're tired of U.S. oppression, corruption, right? Being indebted to you. As the scripture says, the borrower is servant to the lender. If you're constantly in debt to somebody, right, or if you're in debt to somebody, period, right, you're a servant. Right? Either you're working for that person directly to pay them off, right, or you're working anyway, spending your time, right, sweating by the like the scripture says, by the sweat of thy brow, right, by the sweat of your brow, working to pay that off. So it says, It says to make up the difference, it has to borrow to continue to finance payments that Congress has already authorized. Congressional action to raise the debt ceiling does not increase the nation's financial commitments, as decisions to spend money are legislated separately, and changes to the debt ceiling require majority approval by both chambers of Congress. And it's a big joke, man. This is all a big friggin' joke. Right, you can type in U.S. debt clock, and again, they're not going to show you the full numbers, but it's something to, as they say, U.S. national debt. What is this? 31,810 billion. Right, so debt per citizen 94,000. But anyway, you can type this in and check out all these numbers. But this whole dollar is just garbage, man. And it's coming to the point, right? We're coming to the point where people are not going to care, right? As this guy Gerald Celente, who's a top forecaster, you can look him up, right? He said when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. And you're really seeing that right now. You're seeing that people are losing it right now, actually. Because of all this different stress. First of all, there's a bunch of excess deaths in Canada, right? There's a bunch of people dropping dead, man, dropping like flies. From what? And there's not even anything, there's no agencies, there's no news outlets, nothing, nobody's reporting or talking about this. Okay? Everybody's, you're gonna see people's true colors soon, right? It says 2 Ezra 15, right, and 16, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Sedition means what? It means basically a rebellion against rule, in the most basic understanding. Okay, you're not gonna care for rule because, first of all, think about this: you're not gonna have you're not gonna have a police force. You're not gonna be able to dial 911. Okay. You're gonna have a lot of military in different places that are gonna establish martial law. Right. The cities that are desolate, right, and you have a few people there, or you have whatever, a few hundred or 1,000, killing each other, eating each other, all kinds of madness, right? There shall be sedition and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? They're not going to be thinking, shit, if I do this, I'm gonna get 25 years. Fuck, I'm gonna, if I do this, I'm gonna get arrested. No. The course of your actions shall stand in your power. You're gonna have the power, whatever limited power that is. Anyway, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? Because again, you're gonna have checkpoints, certain places you can't get out of. You're gonna have a lot of different situations. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, right? The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. You got to envision this. One of the best ways you can envision this is watching movies like I Am Legend, The Road, Book of Eli, and then extrapolating from that, and then using your own imagination. Because look, it's gonna get bad. No R-rated. This is R-rated. No movie like that it can really show you the depth of how bad it's gonna be, because it's gonna be very bad. It's gonna be desolate and destitute. People are as greedy as ever. People are as sinful as ever. People are as rageful and unloving, unbrotherly, unkind, cold as ever, right? So imagine when all hell breaks loose and you lose it. You lose everything. Right now, people are being crazy right now, and they still got a home to come home to, and they can go through the drive-through, go for your car wash, go to the movies, go to Wonderland. Watch when everything shuts down, you know, or collapses, better yet, not shuts down. All right. Let's go to hold on, did I read that part? Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's why, people in the know, they're calling this how do they put it? An artificial famine, right? Something along those lines. But it's an orchestrated famine, right? Because you have to understand the Midwest, America, there's certain, even in Canada, you have so much farmland. You have an abundant amount of land that you can yield crops from, right? All kinds of food. And you're telling me, oh, we're running low on food, you know? The shipping situation is bad, or the trucking. They're gonna orchestrate however it's gonna go down. Because guess what, Esau, you are the sword of the Most High, and the Most High is wielding you right now, right? Let's go to this next article here. This is infiniteunknown.net, Gerald Celente. All right, this is what I was talking about. When the money stops flowing down to the man in the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. This is from February 27, 2011. All right, over 10 years ago, man. This thing was supposed to pop off a while back, and we're in that time. The Most High, He was holding it back, right? Because the elect they have to get sealed. They must get sealed, man. Let's start here, right? It says, but it is not for hunger, but it is not hunger for democracy that drives them. Democracy, autocracy, theocracy, monarchy, right, center, left. It is mostly a gut issue, an empty gut issue. When the money stops flowing down to the man in the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. It's a simple equation. A few at the top have too much, and too many others have too little, right? And this was from 2011, right? Down here it says, from the onset of the financial crisis that began in August 2007 and through the ensuing panic of '08, Washington, the Federal Reserve, and central banks have managed to forestall a Great Depression-grade meltdown by way of a variety of multi-trillion-dollar rescue packages, bailouts, and stimulus programs. That's what they did, right? During the time of 2008 and onward, you had bailouts, stimulus. Basically, what the man just said, multi-trillion. So we're in the time of what right now? The debt ceiling. We just read it. All right, the debt ceiling is being raised once again. Look how much money they printed during 2020, during that time period, when you couldn't, where it wasn't suggested you can go outside, right? You had more money being printed. So all this to culminate into what? A total meltdown. And that's why you're not gonna have a crash, because look, they're just getting ready to start test pilot CBDC, right, in July. I think it's called FedNow. So by 24, they're ready to lock this thing in, because I was telling the brother, I'm like, look, from July to around the New Year's, like 6 months, so Esau works in numbers, man. And you can see this thing happening in 24 fully, because the system they're not playing. They're letting you know, look, I was at I did a delivery, right? And what do you call it? It was in like an apartment type, a condo actually. And when you go up, the doors, they don't have any keys, man. What do you call it? Where you put the keys in, right? There's no locks. It's all electronic. I looked, I'm like, it's at a scan card. They, it goes by card. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, like it's simple to just have these switches, because they already have it in a lot of stores, right? Malls, different things like that. Right? So it's not hard, man. It's everything is ready. It says for 3 years, the programs were able to induce an illusionary and superficial recovery that, barring a major external geopolitical jolt, might have continued to run its course until the inevitable denouement. But now the jolt felt around the world is in the process of shattering the recovery illusion. Whether deliberately or as fallout from fear-based denial, the pieces are not being put together. The current unrest is not confined to the Middle East and North Africa, and as we had forecast, it will spread to Europe and other parts of the world. This was 2011. Look at Europe right now. The more volatile and widespread the insurrections, the greater the probability that some combination of event, oil shock or attack, cyber wars, and regional wars will crash already fragile economies and royal sound ones. Be prepared. Conditions are spinning out of control in some countries. Banks and stock market closures are real possibilities. As in the imposition of martial law, we reiterate our forecast for gold, $2,000, which right now, this year, when you follow it, it hit that mark, I believe, right? And then it went up. It's like 22, something like that. So it says we recommend keeping cash and necessities on hand. Well, that's his carnal recommendation, but nonetheless, we're understanding this through the Spirit, man. We're understanding what the hell is actually going on through Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bashem, Rakakwadash. Anyway, I hope you're edified with that. I want to say Kal Halalim La Yahweh Bashem, Yahushai Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well and that teach well, and salutations and blessings to you elect out there. Shalom.